Welcome to VL Speaks with You, Episode 1. I am VL, Lisa, and this channel is devoted to bringing you information on healthy lifestyle or improving your lifestyle and what recommends me to do that. Why would you come and sit here for 15 to 20 minutes and listen to me speak? Well, I've got a treasure trove of experiential knowledge and empirical wisdom and a nice sizable toolkit. Why? How did I get it? Well, it started with the study of microbiology for 2 years and working in a hospital and realizing this is great, this has been really informational, but I don't want to work in this kind of setting, which then put me off on a new track. Actually, just the path. And that's when I got into the health club business. I was in college and I wanted to work in an environment where I would learn and, of course, satisfy the thirst that I have for the sciences, the health sciences. And so working in a health club back in the 80s was a great education, although there were lots of women running around with leotards and headbands. Think Jamie Lee Curtis, Olivia Newton-John back then. I am a Gen Xer and a native New Yorker as well. So I started in Northern California in the health club industry and then came back to the Northeast and was part of the first wave of personal trainers in Manhattan. It's actually one of the first female personal trainers to get certified back then. And the niche that I pursued was special populations, which definitely dovetailed with the study of microbiology and pathology. Working with special populations was an incredible education. Each client was a teacher. And I don't know about you, but I really enjoy learning from people that know more than I do. Not so much caring about being the smartest person in the room, but being surrounded by incredibly wise and smart people has always been my motto. That way you're always learning, because it never ends. And so that's what it was when I was working with these clients. And they ranged anywhere from 2 to 82 years old. I worked with folks that were dealing with anorexia, bulimia, obesity, prenatal and postpartum care, lots of post-rehab from joint surgeries, as well as dealing with folks that were dealing with rehabilitating from radiation, chemo. Some of the incurables were cystic fibrosis, cerebral palsy, and I don't like to call it that, but it's hard to fix cerebral palsy, although I'm sure they've made many strides in science by now. Also worked with people that were dealing with autism on the spectrum. And so my studies were also good for me as well, because everything that I wanted to learn about, I went and studied and experienced for myself. So I was studying lots of nutrition, organic foods, which back then weren't that big of a deal, but definitely on the Lower East Side they were. And in the East Village and the West Village, which was great because you could go shopping for this food. And also practicing martial arts, going to yoga classes all over this island. And that led me to the next path, or part of the path, which was being invited to live at the Himalayan Institute. The newly minted director and spiritual head of the Himalayan Institute is Pandit Rajmani Tiganayat. And back then, little did I know who I was meeting the first time I went to visit. He convinced me to move there. And this just enhanced the toolkit as well as personal development, which is what it was for, my own edification, and to be of service. This whole time, the major drive of doing this work has been to be of service, not just to myself, but to humanity, so to speak. I'm not trying to be a Pollyanna. This was just something that was inside of me. I had many opportunities to pursue other things, and I have worked in different lines of work, But this has always been the driving force in my life, and at certain times, definitely more of the focus than others. So after being at the Himalayan Institute, working, studying, teaching, learning a lot, and integrating all that information, I had a yoga studio, which was a great experience. And in the midst of that, I became my own client because I became ill. That is a story for another time. I could definitely devote hours to that topic. How illness is your teacher, really, an incredible teacher, and very humbling. And so, closed that studio, had a break from teaching while I was getting back into balance, and then wound up moving to Connecticut and had the wonderful fortune of teaching at Yale University's Payne Whitney Gymnasium and also at the Slivka Center there, co-teaching with a female rabbi. So, all of these things, had another yoga studio and closed that realizing I want to do this differently. I want to integrate all of these years of working with special populations and being ill and knowing that I would be dealing with parents that were eventually going to be becoming more ill as they got older, which is where I'm at now. I took a break to integrate all of this and to step away from illness. Now I'm back. And why? Well, the compelling factor, honestly, is remembering something that Pandit Rajmani Tiganayat, who I will affectionately call PRT or Punaji from here on out, he had said something in a Q&A, and actually it was a question that I had asked. And the question was, what can we do in this day and age with everything that's going on, even though this was prior to 9/11 and the pandemic, what can we do to contribute to the solution? And he said quite plainly, share the wisdom and the knowledge that you have with other people. Selfless service. And while that is one of the many pearls that he gave me, because I've got a strand that wraps around my body, the pearls of wisdom that I have acquired from the people around me, it has stuck with me all of this time. And so here I am. So the goal here is to impart everything that I've practiced and that I've learned, which is pretty comprehensive, and I'm sure that I'm going to learn a lot more in this process, and I'm looking forward to it, and I hope that you join me in this process and on this journey. It can be definitely mutually beneficial. We're here in these physical bodies. We're lucky to have them, really, when you think about it, because between the mind, the breath, and the body, these are the most important tools that we have to live. So what's the first topic that I'm going to touch upon? Kindness. Why that? Well, it is the first tenet of yoga. Non-harming. And I'm compelled to start with it because it is the beginning of the process in how we treat ourselves and how we deal with the world outside of us. So let's start with you. Are you kind to yourself? What does that look like for you? Is this a foreign concept for you? It might be. We're definitely living in a climate and culture that really, even the getting healthy part can sometimes be grueling. Like, no pain, no gain, which of course, I'm not on that bus, obviously, even though I was the major contributing factor to being ill because of pushing too hard. But what does that look like for you? How do you practice kindness in your everyday life? Do you at all? These are compelling questions, for sure. What I'm going to do is provide you with a few tips that you can start using right now, today, tonight, tomorrow. Just start to implement them and see how it works for you. One thing that I can say for sure is that it's not going to hurt. It can only help. So, implementing this starts with the night before. I mean, everything that we do during the day affects how well we sleep and what we feel like when we wake up. This is super basic, super. Regulating your circadian rhythm, the rhythm of waking and sleeping and going about your day. Nature's got it on lockdown, although things are wonky right now with climate change. And I'm looking forward to some snow. I should watch what I say. But the circadian rhythm, your rhythm, is very important to get into a smooth kind of process. Because maybe you don't get a lot of sleep. There are some people that need more sleep than others. But the quality of the sleep that you do get is imperative, especially if you're always tired, which a lot of people are complaining about being tired and not getting good sleep. I hear about it all the time. So this is a really good way to start. Regulate your sleeping patterns. If you can, if at all possible, get to sleep before 10 or by 10, because you know that once you go past that mark, then you get into the second wind or the third wind of your day. And before you know it, you're up till 2 o'clock in the morning, Netflix binging and going, oh gosh, I gotta be up in a few hours and I'm so tired, but I'm awake. So if you can get to bed by 10 or before 10, that will help you establish sleep. And then get up when the body says to get up, right? Instead of clicking on the alarm 5 times before you get up, just get up and try to establish a rhythm. That's number 1. And again, everything that you do during the day is going to determine what happens at night, and it's definitely going to affect the next day. So if you want to break that loop, you got to start with something. I would say start with regulating your sleep. That's a nice way of being kind to yourself, because waking up feeling refreshed is a nice feeling. You're like, oh, I'm ready for the day. So that's the next tip. When you do get up, you do find you opening your eyes, thank yourself. Thank your body. Thank your body for doing all of the things that it does without you even having to tell it to do it. Imagine if you had a really good relationship with your mind to the point where you could tell your body to do something and it would do it. There are people that have mastered that, but we're probably not at that stage yet, right? So do yourself a favor and thank your body. Thank your organs, thank your nervous system, thank your lungs, thank them all for doing what they're supposed to be doing for you. And then slowly get up and limber and gently move and open the body and the joints. And then I know most people have to go pee when they wake up. I get that. So after that, drink yourself a nice glass of room temperature water, 8 to 16 ounces, filtered, reverse osmosis filtered if you can, if it's doable. Just make sure it's clean and flush your organs. After that, if you're going to move on to your coffee, tea, whatever, before you get rolling, get yourself a nice notebook and a pen and start writing to yourself what you really like about yourself. And even if you can't find anything that you particularly like about yourself, some people have lots of wonderful things to say about themselves. Some people do not. If you fall somewhere in the middle, or wherever you are on the spectrum of feeling about how you feel about yourself, just remember that we're all made of the same stuff. We're all divine. We're all here having a human experience, and that we're made of stardust. We've got stardust in our blood. If you have nothing else to write about, you can write about that. And write what you're thankful for. All the things that you're thankful for, and what you really like about yourself. That's it. That's the beginning. That's where we're going to start in the first episode. Regulate your sleep patterns. Give yourself thanks for waking up and all of your body parts doing their jobs. Drink some clean water, flush your organs. Write to yourself. Little love notes. No, love notes work too. I found them very helpful, especially when I was sick. I would write love notes to myself, and it helped. So I hope that this is helpful. This is just the beginning. And I know you might think, oh my God, this is so silly. It's not silly, I'm telling you right now. I'm only going to bring to you things that have worked for me and other people that I've worked with. And the well is very deep, I will assure you. The well is very deep. And next week, we're going to expound on the kindness tip, for sure. All right? So thank you for joining me for the first episode. And I hope to see you next week. Feel free to subscribe and like and share. If you're going to leave a comment, please be respectful. And I look forward to seeing you again. Okay? Have a wonderful day. Ciao.